Today we're going to take a look at all 19 military vehicles coming to Battlefield 6. Now this vehicles list is based off a data mine provided by Temporyal. If you don't know him, he's basically a trusted data miner since 2019. And another one from a user named HearMeOut13 on Reddit. The vehicles I'm going to pick in this video will be the one that are most likely be drivable and from the military class. So I'm not going to show you any civilian car, stationary props, etc. Just the core vehicles on the battlefield with some fun facts about the in real life version as usual. But before we proceed, just like the previous video, which I'll link in the description, take this video with a grain of salt. The game is still in a very early development phase, so everything is subject to change, and the footage supporting the data mine has been very limited, albeit there are some vehicles that have been confirmed truly in line with the data mine. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. Starting off with main battle tanks, we're gonna get M1 Abrams. This tank was developed in the 1970s to replace the M60 tank, and it entered US Army service in 1980. Named for General Creighton Abrams, this tank first saw combat in 1991 Gulf War during the Operation Desert Storm, and it proved to be extremely effective against Soviet-built tanks. Upgraded variants M1A1 with 120mm gun, M1A2 with digital systems have since served in Iraq, Afghanistan, and other conflicts. The next battle tank we're gonna get is the Leopard 2 SG. It's a Singaporean upgrade of the German Leopard 2 A4 main battle tank. In 2006, Singapore purchased 96 ex-German Leopard 2 A4 tanks and upgraded them in-country by 2010. These upgrades included new modular armor and digital systems, after which they were redesignated Leopard 2 SG. This tank is unique to Singapore only, and I bet you wonder by now, why do I choose this tank even though there have been no indication about conflict between NATO and Singapore in the game lore? Well, I choose this variant because it resembles the in-game tank better than the Leopard 2 A4, especially with that sled armor on the rear hull and turret. If you don't know, sled armors are used to protect the tank from an incoming warhead. This grid or cage-like structure can cause the warhead to explode before reaching the vehicle's main armor, basically reducing its effectiveness. But now, how does it tie to the lore again? I don't know, we haven't got any clue on how the enemy factions get their hands on this tank. It might be through smuggling export, but that's another rabbit hole we won't dive. Moving on, for infantry fighting vehicles, we got CV-90 Mark IV. This vehicle was one of the first IFVs with a 40mm gun and has since evolved to a modular design. The Mark IV features rubber band tracks for low noise and digital systems. Primary armament is typically a 35mm Bushmaster 3 autocannon with 7.62 coaxial machine gun. It can also mount Spike ER or ATGM Acheron as an anti-tank guided missile, which I've seen it in action directly from the leak. Smoke grenade launchers and module turrets can also be fitted with 30 to 50mm guns or even 120mm guns if needed. Next up is the M2 Bradley fighting vehicle. M2 Bradley is the US Army's track infantry fighting vehicle, IFV like I mentioned before, with a 25mm M242 Bushmaster autocannon as its main weapon. It also carries twin M241 TOW missile launchers and a coaxial 7.62 machine gun. It's primarily used by the US Army and Army National Guard, and the variant I see in game is most likely the M2A4, which has a more stubby front profile and deployed in 2022. It still doesn't have the Iron Fist Active Protection System or APS like his siblings, which is the M2A4E1, but it could also be a gameplay choice by DICE to make that APS as a vehicle attachment. Now before we move on, if you find value from this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribe. Your help means a lot to a small channel like mine. I'll also be sure to keep you guys updated with Battlefield news, future gameplays, and other interesting FPS shooter. So let's keep connected, eh? Moving on, for the anti-aircraft, we only got one drivable vehicles from data mine, which is Gepard Mobile Air Defense System. Gepard, or also known as Cheetah Spag, mounts two Rheinmetall Oerlikon KDA cannons in a turret atop a Leopard 1 tank hull. It was developed in 1960s, 70s and entered German service in the late 1970s. The system was actually been retired in Euro by the mid-2010s, superseded by missiles or APS, though as recent news demonstrates, retired Gepards were reactivated for Ukraine war, so there's still a little bit of lore support of this gun still being used in around 2030. Now the interesting part, for fighter jets we're going to get F-22 Raptor and Su-57. F-22 Raptor is a US 5th generation stealth air superiority fighter. It entered US Air Force service in 2005 and was first deployed in combat in 2014. This jet still remains as the premier air superiority fighter today, and it was never exported. The F-22's internal weapons base carry up to 6 long-range missiles and 2 short-range missiles. It also has one internal 20mm Falcon cannon with the capability of carrying JDAM bombs in its main bay. The Sukhoi Su-57 itself first flew in 2010 and entered Russian service in 2020. Only Russia operates it, and it's intended to replace some Su-27 and Su-35 units. For the armament itself, this jet has one 30mm GSH-30-1 cannon, 6 internal bays provisioned for 6 to 8 missiles, and also has the capability to carry R-37 long-range missiles or air-to-surface missiles internally. For the attack jets, we got F-16 and JAS-39 Gripen. Gripen?
JAS-39 Gripen.
Yeah, that one. F-16 was designed in the 1970s as a day fighter. It entered US Air Force service in 1978. The F-16 was widely exported and it replaced many older fighters worldwide. Then for JAS-39 Gripen, this jet was first developed by Sweden's Saab in the 1980s as a successor to Draken and Viggen. This jet has the capability of fighter, attack, and reconnaissance mission, hence JAS.
Jakt, attack, spaning.
Name. Gripen has seen no wartime use but has participated in NATO and international exercises. For the attack heli, we're going to get 3 helis, which consist of 2 attack heli and 1 scout heli. The first one being AH-64E Apache Guardian. It is the latest US Army attack helicopter and it seats 2 pilot gunner with a primary weapon of 30mm M230 chain gun under the nose. It also has the ability to carry anti-tank missiles, rocket pods, and air-to-air defense missile. Apache first flew in 1975 while the E model itself entered service in 2012 with improved engines, avionics, and multi-domain networking. So chronologically, AH-64E is the closest contender version we're going to see in-game. The second one is the Eurocopter Tiger, designation EC-665. It's a Franco-German attack helicopter. Typical armament includes a chin-mounted 30mm GAT-30 cannon, 38 by 70mm rockets, and up to 12 air-to-ground missiles. It was developed jointly by France and Germany in the 1980s and made its first flight in 1991 and entered service mid-2000s. For the Scout Heli or Little Bird, we're getting AH-6M. Developed from the civilian MD-500, the Little Bird has been in US Army Special Operations since the 1980s. It has been used for covert insertions, exfiltrations, and urban hostage rescue missions by the Force, SEALs, etc. Fun fact, one of the nicknames for a Little Bird in US SOCOM is Killer Egg due to its egg shape. For transport heli, we got the UH-60 Black Hawk. It's a medium-lift transport helicopter with no fixed guns by default, but door or gunner position can mount M240 7.62mm machine guns or Gauss-17 50 cal miniguns. It can also sling load cargo weighing up to 4.5 tons, and it has been the US Army standard utility helicopter since 1980. It had fought in Grenada, Panama, Gulf War, Balkans, Iraq, and Afghanistan. So there are lots of history made with this heli. Then we got F-22 Osprey. Now, this is still very debatable since the datamine only showed codename Vector and Temporyal had never mentioned having this heli in-game. But for this one, we're gonna trust what Hear Me Out wrote in his datamine. The F-22 Osprey is a rotor VTOL aircraft. It has twin 50-foot rotors that can lift from vertical to horizontal. Developed jointly by Bell and Boeing, the Osprey first flew in 1989 but entered service only in 2007. It has been used by US Marines since 2008 and Air Force Special Operations since 2009. The Osprey served in Iraq, Afghanistan for troop transport and medevac, and was also used in Niger hostage rescue in 2017. For armored personal carrier vehicle class, we only got one according to the datamine, which is Paramount Marauder. This thing is huge. I mean, look at that. This vehicle is a South African 4x4 mine-resistant ambush-protected car, or MRAP. Damn, that's a mouthful. The armor in this car is ballistic steel and composite, rated to resist 7.62mm armor-piercing rounds, and double-tap mine blasts beneath any wheel. Marauder weaponry is also modular, usually 1 or 2 roof-mounted pintle guns, plus the possibility of a remote weapon station. I don't know why, but this car looks really comical to me. From light attack or transport vehicles, we got General Dynamics Flyer 60. This car is a light, air-transportable special operations vehicle with an armament that is mission configurable, just like what we see in game where there's a mounted machine gun on top. For light transport, we have quad bike and Dagor or MRZR buggy, which is likely a placeholder. Lastly, for naval, we got Ribboat. Yeah, we only got Ribboat. Honestly, it's kinda sad to see there are so few vehicles we got currently. I was hoping that we can see more vehicle variety depending on the factions we deployed as, but judging from the limited data, it seems like the military vehicles are so few right now. At this point, I don't know what are DICE's main focus that resulted in these very few choices of guns and vehicles in game. All that I can hope right now is that this is not the only vehicles we receive on day one. Also the naval vehicle. Where are they? Battlefield used to be an all-out warfare, including ground, air, and naval combat, but now they completely forgot about the naval combat altogether. I guess only time can tell. Alright, that's all folks. Have a great weekend. Stay healthy.